Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Obviously, yesterday was an incredibly frustrating day all the way around. Frustrating for you, the fans. Frustrating for people waiting for answers in the Lash building, and frustrating for Pat Kraft. They thought they had something that was pretty close to being locked up. They have been going through the process, and in the process, about 3 weeks ago, right around there, they looked like they started to feel like there was genuine interest from Kalani Sitake. Then about 10 or 11 days ago, they got really serious. And when this whole thing began 7 weeks ago, a little bit more than that, remember what I said then. I said November 30th was a key day. Mm-hmm. And I said that the day after James was let go. Because when you're in the regular season and you have existing coaches, common sense tells you November 30th would be the key day. It's not some mystical thing I came up with. I mean, the only ones that get hired during the season are ones that at the moment don't have a job, right? But people that have jobs, you don't announce with 2 weeks to go in the season, hey, we've reached an agreement with, and the guy's going to coach out the season. Please, that's not going to happen. That's why I said November 30th, because it was the logical day. It was the day after the regular season ended. Well, they pretty much had that. The thought process is that they'd have everything locked down by Monday. And, you know, at some point, word finally leaks out as to who it is. And it really looked like it was going to happen. Now, could it have drawn out during the week? Sure, because BYU was in the championship game. For the Big 12, with their only shot of getting into the playoff is by winning the game. It's the only shot they have. And it looked like it was going to survive it, and it didn't. And it goes back to what I said yesterday. I know you weren't here yesterday. It was one of the best shows we've ever had.
That's right.
Trying to think what the common denominator is.
It snowed.
But remember what I said yesterday. I've been here my entire adult life. 2 years at the Wilkes-Barre campus. And then, from 76 to 78. From 78 till now, I've been here. I mean, I've been here 48 years and 50 overall in Pennsylvania, associated with Penn State, either as a student or working. And I said this yesterday, the one thing that comes into play that you're concerned about, because I can say it from a personal point of view, is your emotional tie to the place that has meant so much to you. Mm-hmm. And for him, remember, he grew up
there.
I think he moved to Provo when he was 6. He grew up there. And he's been so deeply connected with it. He played for Lavelle Edwards, and he was the captain, the senior captain of Lavelle Edwards' last team. And yeah, sure, he had other coaching stops, but he comes back, quote, home and becomes the head coach in 2015. I mean, there's a deep tie there. And the concern, I think, had to be was if they could come up with a competitive counteroffer that would be that would be part of it. Now, look, timing has entered into this. right? Timing is entered into this. And I've always talked about the element of timing. Because remember, you're incredibly frustrated.
Sure. There's no
you
question
are,
there.
as fans,
Absolutely.
incredibly frustrated. Okay? Current players and staff, they're frustrated. But remember, these are the people that put the offer out there. You don't think Pat Kraft is frustrated? Now, you've got to overcome that right away, which they have, and they've started working, okay, now what do we do? Everybody knew today's letter of intent day was going to come and go. Okay? But timing means so much in life. I mean, always. I mean, think of the good timing you've had in all of your lives, where like right place, right time. I mean, my entire career, life has been based on right time, right place. And sometimes the timing isn't right for something. And let's face it, when it came to Mike Elko, they're on this roll. Is that the right time for him to leave? Okay. Kalen DeBoer. They're going to go to the SEC championship game. They're going to be in the playoff, regardless of the result. Is the timing right for him? I mean, timing doesn't work out sometimes in certain cases, and that's part of it. And now, what is the next step? Who is the next person that you want to talk to? How quickly do you need to talk to them? Is there a buyout involved? Right? If it's an 8-figure buyout, if it's 7 figures, hey, manageable. Right? Yeah, it just depends on who it is. Or in some cases, there's somebody out there with no buyout. Well, now you've got to sit there and, again, you're frustrated, understandably. The players and the staff here, frustrated, understandably. But remember, you don't think Pat's not frustrated? Pat's extremely frustrated, right? They thought they had it. And the idea that they could have locked somebody down earlier and so forth, that's hard to do when people are coaching in season. Yeah, you can have contacts with the agent and so forth, but you're coaching in the season. You're talking about swings that you're taking with people who, turns out, are having great seasons. Well, great seasons mean playoff berths. And not everybody in the planet's Lane Kiffin.
That's the point I was going to make, I think, is exactly. And not everybody's going to do what Lane Kiffin did. And look, what Kiffin did, fair or not, to Ole Miss, he did it. But I think from a lot of perspectives with college football, even in the landscape it's in nowadays, Mike Elko's not going to say, hey, I can't step away from my guys when we're undefeated to talk to anybody. My focus has got to be this team right now and winning a national championship. And I think that's the mentality of any coach that is in the playoff race right now, that is absolutely pretty much locked in the playoffs. There's no question that is their mentality in a lot of ways. There's no doubt about it. The other part of it that I think you unfortunately can't ignore is you look at how James Franklin's dismissal was here at Penn State. As appreciative as you are, you see who his agent is. He represents a lot of people. Right. There's no doubt. And there is always going to be, no matter how amicable the divorce is, there's always going to be bitterness towards things. And I think that is the case with Jimmy Sexton and Penn State at times. I don't think there's, and that would be the case if any of his agents just anywhere else is.
Trace Armstrong is Kalani Sitake's agent.
Yes.
It's not Jimmy
Sexton.
No.
But I think that a lot of other candidates are other candidates that have been linked to the position are Jimmy Sexton's. Yeah. So I think there's no doubt that there has got to be, I don't want to say there's bad blood, but there's certainly a little bit of uneasiness, at least I think when you look at that from okay, I'm representing the client that you dismissed. There's no question that that plays a role. Is it going to be the determining factor? No, but does it play a role? Sure, it does. So there's a lot of things that come into it in a lot of ways. And look, sometimes things unfortunately don't play out the way you plan them to play out. But yeah, having said that, and as frustrating as it is, they move on. And that's exactly what Penn State is doing right now. You've got to move on. There's other candidates out there. It's a matter now of finding the right guy for the job. Are they behind the eight ball? Yes, but you knew that you knew they were going to have to hit the portal hard next year anyway. I think that's one part of it in a big way. They're absolutely probably going to have to, no matter who remains on this roster, you're still going to have to hit the portal, and you knew that already.
Right. So in today's world, that's what you have.
Yeah.
I remember in the opening game of the season with Nevada talking about how they had 54 new players. And the reason I brought that up was I was bringing it up from a scouting point of view. Opening game of the season, 54 new players. You don't know how they mesh. I mean, it's hard to scout a team like that in an opening game. I think Purdue, Barry Odom had 84 new players last year between freshmen and transfers. So, and that's, again, when you were sitting there and, and you're in his shoes, they felt really confident they had him. Because obviously he indicated to them that they had him. And then it became an avalanche of support emotionally and financially on the BYU side, and they kept him. Okay. So,
and it's a big part of college football where you look at, we talked about this previously, and it's been talked about outside as well, where handshake agreements are tough to do anymore in the landscape of college football. And that's why, until that pen is to the paper, UCLA's got to feel a little uneasy with Bob Chesney. And that's really just the world of college football that we have right now. There's so many things, fair or unfair, that can happen that will deter things away from the plan. And I think that is the other part of it where you're looking, and that's the whole landscape of college football right now. It's what makes it even tougher.
Yeah. I mean, and that is where we are right now. It is this will be one of the times where Penn State will be fortunate that the portal exists.
Absolutely.
Because, at this point, you're just trying to, first of all, you need a head coach. And, where that head coach is could be here, already here. Could be somebody from the outside they want to go with, whatever. But that's step one. Look, I think when I brought up November 30th, there were two things that came into my mind when I said that 7.5 weeks ago. One was the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
And two, letter of intent day being today, December 3rd. And they thought they had their guy. But when you're doing high stakes hiring, I mean, there's a process involved, and they were so deep into the process on this. And again, as frustrated as you are, imagine how frustrated the people are that put this together. I mean, Pat and his team put this together. They thought they had it. And So you want to talk about frustrating? As frustrated as you are, imagine how frustrated they are. But the difference is they've got to overcome that, and they've got to bounce back with a hire. All the people you suggested are bad. I don't understand like some of the names you came up with. It's unbelievable. There are a couple of people on here. You gave me a list. Okay, this one here is no longer with us. Okay,
cross them off.
Cross that name off the list. I mean, you worry me. God, you scare me. Looked at those names. Like some of these are named after trophies. Bizarre.
I thought Lombardi'd be a good hire.
Oh.
No,
Leo Nemolini. What the heck? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Golly. All right. So Brian Hartline is going to take, it looks like, the South Florida job. See, let me do something that is in general here. Okay. And this is in general. It's not just about Penn State. It's in general. We've talked about the calendar. And there's a couple ways of looking at the calendar. One is what I've talked about repeatedly. How about having the early signing date the first week of August? Okay.
Yep. Or changed, at least in some way, away from December.
The other part is just stick with only a signing date in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I know we've done this thing. We're trying to get as many people in to be a part of spring practice and start their academics and blah, 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 blah. Maybe that needs to be rethought.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe that needs to be rethought of just going back to that. Because let's just take, this is in general now. Brian Hartline is going to go to South Florida. Okay. So Brian Hartline is now going to split his time between game planning for Ohio State while putting together his South Florida staff and recruiting and roster and things like that. He's splitting his time. Klein's going to be the same way at Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, Charlie Weiss Jr.,
coaching the playoff, and he's going to be tied to LSU. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
that's a little different because you're tied to a rival, even.
They gave him permission to do it.
Or at least interconference.
Right. They gave him a chance. They gave him the opportunity to do it. So he's going to be the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss in the playoff game while on the LSU payroll.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I'm talking about the way college football is.
And I think that's
college basketball has many problems. College basketball
right
has. College basketball is exponentially more organized than college football. The calendar does play a role in that. The calendar, despite being a split semester, actually works out. Man, I was talking last year about the NBA draft.
Absolutely.
Because we were talking so much about Yannick Konen-Niederhauser. Well, the calendar works out great. It's in the spring. You can work out while still going to class, right? Right? There's a late time to drop for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a nice late time to do it. Okay. So, I mean, those are all big pluses. You don't have that in college football. College football, you've got to make a decision to go to the NFL draft, and that's it. You are done.
Yeah.
And once the day comes and goes, and you don't pull your name out, you're finished.
Yeah.
So
they made so many changes to college football in a rapid pace and weren't prepared to how they were going to facilitate and or accommodate those changes. And I think that has changed the game in the good way. That's changed the game in the bad way, in a lot of ways. And that, I think, is the big difference between college football and college basketball. College basketball had a structure. They went with that structure. They knew exactly what they were doing,
Right.
and they're operating it. College football did not have stability on a lot of the changes they made, and I'm not sure they still do. And I think that's the biggest worry for me, where college football is going. Does NIL help in terms of entering the NFL draft? Yes, because hey, years ago you hired an agent, you're done. You weren't that was it. You were in the draft and you weren't leaving. So now at least you can speak to others in a lot of ways that you couldn't previously. But that being said, NIL has done some bad things for the sport. So there's a lot of things that college football did in a short period. Did it make the game more exciting? Sure, it did. But it made the game less stable, and it made the game a lot tougher, especially from a coach's perspective and a player's perspective.
Right. The college football playoff rankings came out amidst all of this going on. And by the way, to the 5 or 6 people last night who said, how about you coaching? And I looked at them, I said, my response was the same to everybody. I said, if your desire is to go 0-12, I'm a perfect candidate.
They couldn't afford my buyout.
Oh, your buyout. Ohio State is 1, and Indiana's 2. Georgia's 3. Texas Tech is 4. So on this particular day, if it were to hold, those would be the 4 that would get buys to New Year's Day, with one game being on New Year's Eve. The 5 seed is Oregon. They would get a conference champion. We'll get to that in a moment. The 6 seed is Ole Miss. They would get a home game at Vaught Hemingway Stadium against the other unnamed conference champion. 7 seed is Texas A&M. They would get a home game and a rematch with Notre Dame. The 8 seed is Oklahoma. They would get a rematch, but instead of Tuscaloosa, they would play in Norman against Alabama, the 9 seed. So you would get 2 rematches. And they have to put down conference champ, because if Duke wins, the ACC doesn't get somebody in. And notice in this thing here, there is no ACC team. Because Miami is not in.
Yeah, and I don't think you're sneaking Miami in anymore either. But with the 2 conference champion spots in Notre Dame, you're not putting them over either one of any of those 3.
They beat Notre Dame.
And head-to-head, exactly, which should matter. Yeah.
It should.
Yeah.
It's like...
Absolutely.
If you have the same record, it's all that matters.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
That's the one thing the NFL has correct, is the head-to-head.
Yeah. I mean, head-to-head has to mean something.
Yep. I agree.
Doesn't it? Oklahoma having a home game with Alabama makes sense because Oklahoma beat Alabama. They should be ahead of them.
Yeah.
They played, and they played in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
But the Notre Dame element here, where right now they are the last at-large team in.
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame is an excellent team.
Yeah. And they're playing as well as almost anybody.
Jeremiah
right now.
loves having a great year. Price is a really terrific supplemental back. Carr has played really well. Their defense. There's a lot of really terrific things about Notre Dame. But you lost to Miami, who has the same record. Now, Notre Dame, to its credit,
it's rattled off 10 straight. Yeah.
Was in 10 consecutive playoff games. If they lost one of them, they're out of it.
Yeah.
And they won all 10. So let's give credit where credit's due. But when I look at this, I mean, that's the part that is bothersome, right? Because right now, the first team out is BYU, ironically. And they're not getting in unless they beat Texas Tech.
Right. Yeah, not a chance.
No chance. Okay? Miami can't do anything about it. They're 12.
No.
They can do nothing about it. Texas is 13. Can't do anything about it. Notre Dame's not playing this weekend.
Yeah.
You're not going to penalize Alabama.
No.
Unless they get blown out by Georgia. And Alabama's already beaten Georgia this year. In Athens, no less.
So I think that's got to play a role.
right? I mean, so who doesn't get hurt here? The loser of Indiana, Ohio State doesn't get hurt.
No, they got to buy. Both teams got to buy.
Texas Tech doesn't get hurt if they lose to
They
BYU.
lose. No, if they win, if they beat BYU, they're going to buy. Yeah.
Oregon doesn't play. Not going to hurt. They're not moving.
No. And they deserve to be in.
Ole Miss doesn't play. They're not moving.
Same team deserves to be in.
Texas A&M is not playing. They're not moving. Oklahoma doesn't play. They're not moving. And you're not going to penalize Alabama for playing Georgia as an extra game.
No.
Okay? Notre Dame is not moving. All right? So when you look at this, okay, BYU's only chance is to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they win, they bump somebody out. They could bump out Notre Dame, okay? Because you're not going to bump out Texas Tech.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Miami is sitting there at 12. They're actually like 2 spots out. Vanderbilt is after Texas. Now, Texas did beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Right? But Texas has lost 3 times. Vanderbilt's only lost twice.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, Utah's no shot. Then it's USC. Virginia's 17. The second highest ranked ACC team. Right? Now, right now, with a win, they would make the playoff.
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
Well, no, they would make it because now they are ahead of both Tulane.
Tulane. Yeah, that's
and,
right.
Okay? They're ahead of Tulane. They're ahead of North Texas at this point, and they're ahead of James Madison. Okay, the only one that's playing among those teams that has no shot is Troy. Troy is playing James Madison. Okay, they're 8-4. They have no shot of making it. So between James Madison, North Texas, and Tulane, one of them is going to get a spot in, and if Duke wins, 2 of those are going to get in, unless it's Troy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be where this now furthers. We're on pace, at least, to where you're going to make the argument for 16 teams very soon.
By the way, did you see Penn State actually got votes in the American Football Coaches Association poll?
Paul, really?
Yeah, they did. How about that? Didn't expect that.
Did not, no.
Okay, that's fine.
Nope.
Just thought I'd point it out. Right. All right. But this is where we are with this.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, Navy still has to play Army. They're 9-2, and Navy's ranked. But I mean, I have no issue with the Notre Dame football team at all. They are well coached.
Yeah.
They have a terrific young quarterback, a dynamic running back, very good defense. I got it. But when you were sitting there with 2 teams with identical records,
one of which beat you head to head,
they played. And it does not matter that it was Labor Day weekend. You took your shot. You did not win. That has to be on the table and hanging over the decision the entire time. Okay? Miami did not win the game on a fluke.
No.
It wasn't something crazy. They just won the game. And that doesn't matter? We're sitting there looking at metrics.
Should.
We're sitting there looking at metrics. We're sitting there looking at, what are we looking at metrics for? They played. And it doesn't matter it was Labor Day. You played.
Absolutely.
Well, because you played, one team won and the other one didn't.
Yeah.
That's your playoff game. This is for the last spot because Notre Dame has the last spot right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically Alabama has the last spot. I think they're 10, right? Alabama.
Notre Dame's 10.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame's 10. You're right.
Yep.
Notre Dame's 10.
Yeah.
All right, Alabama.
Which I was surprised on.
Alabama's 10 in the AP poll.
AP poll.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Notre Dame dropped. I thought for sure. Well, of course, Texas A&M losing was a big factor there, but I'm surprised Notre Dame dropped because I think from a network perspective, would they want a home game for Notre Dame? You better believe it. They don't get the chance very often. But at this point, they should. Yeah, I agree with you.
The home game thing doesn't matter. You earn.
You earn the playoff berth. This is all
about earning.
Yeah,
spots.
Absolutely.
You're right about the 16. There's going to be a big push on.
I think so too. There's no doubt. There's going to be questions. I think within the committee. Urban Meyer. Like him or not, I think he's notorious for making very good points. I don't think there's any doubt. And another one that he's made is, you look at the Big Noon team. You have national champions, Heisman Trophy winners, coaches that have won national championships, and they argue to the point that they get in fistfights and can't get it right. How does this committee get it right? And that's, I think he's absolutely right about that.
Well, what I always find interesting is that when the committee tries to explain what's going on, they'll talk about the strength of somebody's offensive line versus. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Literally.
Look, metrics are helpful.
Sure.
There's no getting around it. People hate the words when they hear the words eye test. Okay? There's a lot of people that don't like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I understand that. But there are times when you see something, and when you look at it, you know it's good.
Yes.
And you sit back and I talk about having a feel for something. I mean, metrics help. There's no doubt about that. Especially when you're trying to parse
absolutely.
Between, but sometimes your gut has to tell you who should be there. Well, when it comes to Notre Dame and Miami, I don't need a gut feel. I watch them play. Miami have more points. And I'm not here. I mean, I could care less if Miami gets in.
Right.
Hey, I don't care. This is not one of those where I have some vested interest in what's going on. I have no interest in what's going on in it. But if you're sitting in the room, I'm looking around at everybody and say, excuse me. They played. They won.
Sure. Beat them head-to-head,
right?
which matters.
Okay. We're done.
Yeah.
This is not one of those where Notre Dame is 6th or 7th.
Right.
Right now, Notre Dame is the last team in.
Yeah, and you can't make the excuse, well, they beat them first game of the year. It's a different team now. It doesn't matter.
That doesn't
It's the same
matter.
two teams that played.
You had your shot.
Absolutely.
And you lost.
Yes. And it's, I think, also the unfortunate part. We talked about 16-team playoff. We've seen Alabama change their schedule. I think the other part that you're going to now see is if this does keep one of the two out, which I think it's going to do, those early season big game matchups are going to start to slowly go away. And that's the other unfortunate part that I think you're going to see with this.
Well, yeah, that's where Tony Petitti's idea of automatic qualifiers comes in.
Absolutely.
Where if you have automatic qualifiers, you don't worry about playing that game. Look at the college basketball schedule last night. You see the college basketball schedule last night? The college basketball schedule, this is last night.
Yeah.
All right. Now, there's some of these were conference games, but others were SEC.
Yeah. Great game with Duke
ACC
and Florida.
games, right? Florida and Duke had a great game last night. But these were ACC, SEC games. Okay? So last night, Michigan State beat Iowa. Okay, it's a conference game. Syracuse beat Tennessee by 2. Duke beat Florida by 1.
By point, yeah.
Okay? Okay, UConn, this isn't an ACC, SEC thing, but UConn played at Kansas. Won by 5. ACC, SEC challenge. North Carolina beat Kentucky by 3. Now, these are all because, look, you've got more range in college basketball to do this. You have 31 games in the regular season, soon to be 32 next year. You can do more of this stuff where you can get dynamic North Carolina, Kentucky matchups, Syracuse, Tennessee matchups, Florida and Duke matchups. And then UConn has the flexibility to schedule Kansas.
Absolutely.
Right? And play at Fog Island Fieldhouse. Right? If college, because they know they've got, again, if you finish 7th or 8th in the Big Ten, you've got a great chance of making the tournament.
Agreed.
Okay? And strength of schedule means something just by walking on the court with somebody. Strength of schedule needs to mean something in college football. And again, I want people to earn their spots. I'm just saying the Tony Petitti automatic qualifier argument is at least intriguing to talk about because it could actually make the non-conference schedule better. It could. All right? Now, Miami and Notre Dame played. That was not an independent game. That was part of the ACC contract they have.
Yep.
All right? That was not an independent game that they played. When they have the series with Clemson, those will be independent games, and every once in a while will rotate in as ACC games, as part of the ACC contract. But there'll be other years where they're just on them, and they're just playing each other. And it has nothing to do with the ACC. It's kind of hard to explain, but they play, 5 ACC teams a year?
Yeah.
The years that they play Clemson, where Clemson wasn't scheduled to play them, they'll have 6 ACC teams on the schedule, 5 of which were designated under the contract. Okay, Clemson has a 12-year deal? I think it's 12 years, right? So. It's a long time. But non-conference scheduling, there's so many things about college football that's not quite right. And one is the calendar. One is when signing day is.
Yeah.
Uneven and finally being corrected. Uneven number of conference games. ACC and SEC playing 8. Now each will acquiesce and go to 9. Okay, that's great. And every once in a while you'll have an Ohio State-Texas game. But you don't have a lot of non-conference Ohio State-Texas games. And, it'll cost Texas. They're 9-3.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But the Texas problem is not that they lost to Ohio State on the road. The Texas problem is Texas would be in if they had not lost to Florida.
Yeah, because even with the loss to Georgia, they're in. I agree.
Right. I mean, that's the issue. So you play head-to-head. And in playing head-to-head, it doesn't matter? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. But
no, it doesn't. Not at all. And, again, I just talked about the TV networks with Notre Dame. Would they love a home game? What would they love more than anything? Would they love Notre Dame to be in the playoff? Of course.
Yeah.
It's Notre Dame. It's no secret, is the biggest brand. Without question. So that's absolutely. If you ask the TV execs, you ask who they want more than anybody, it'd be Notre Dame. No question.
They're one of the biggest brands, but but consistently over and over again, Ohio State and Alabama are the two that draw the biggest TV ratings.
Yep, Ohio State and Alabama too. But Notre Dame is the rarity in the sense that they have that TV contract, home game wise, with one network. So then your opportunity to get them, of course you're going to jump on it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think head-to-head certainly should matter, and in this case, it doesn't look like it's going to.
Right, and that makes no sense.
No. Now look, Texas does not make the playoff, which I don't think they're going to. What does that do? There's going to be so many people questioning Texas and Ohio State next year in Austin.
Right.
That's the other part of it. It's hurting college football as a whole. There's no doubt.
Right. So, this is so that's what they came out with last night, and this, of course, is on top of. A lot of people I mean, I didn't pay any attention to it until I actually looked at it this morning because, like I said, yesterday was a frustrating day.
Sure.
Basketball-wise, Penn State, did the expected, beat Campbell last night. They're now 8-1. Cade Mingo had 21 last night. Penn State shot the ball well again. They shot 52%. That is the 6th time in 9 games that Penn State has shot better than 50%. The free throw line, when they've had a chance to put games away, Penn State is now 22 of 23 in the final 4 minutes when they needed free throws to put the game away. 22 and 23. Now, the key is always who shoots them. Always is.
Sure.
Right? Are you doing things to get the ball into the hands of the people that will hit the free throws? So they're 22 of 26, including 8 of 8 last night. Only 3 guys have shot those free throws this season. Only 3 guys shot them last night, and only 3 guys have shot them on the season. Freddie DeLeon, Caden Mingo, Ellie Tuncha. And of the group, only Tuncha's missed one. I mean, last night, Mingo was 4 of 4, Melly was 2 of 2, and DeLeon was 2 of 2. They went 8 for 8 last night. Something else that they've done to this point, and we all know this ratchets up in a huge way next Tuesday when they play at Indiana. No getting around it. Then they have Michigan State here. Michigan State's playing not good basketball.
Right.
They're playing
No
great
doubt.
basketball right now. But in Minnesota, by the way, Indiana has to play at Minnesota tonight, and then they got Louisville on Saturday. Then they'll play Penn State Tuesday. So something that is like you look at certain elements on a team, and Dick Girardi always looks into these elements. And he brought this up. When you take Penn State's steals and assists, okay, those are action numbers, okay, steals and assists. Last night they had 28 of them. To how many turnovers? Penn State only had 7. That was a 4-to-1 ratio last night. For the season, steals plus assists divided by turnovers, Penn State's nearly 3-to-1. That's astronomical in today's game, and it's a critical part of the formula for Penn State. Keeping the turnovers down. Steals mean live ball turnovers. Assists means the ball's hot. Okay? Assists means the ball is hot. Steals are live ball turnovers. Your turnovers kept to a minimum makes a big difference. Right? And they're right now in the season nearly 3-to-1. Last night they were 4-to-1. Also, very quietly last night, Dom Stewart has not been shooting the ball well. I think Dom's only, 3 of his last 12 from the field or something like that. And the free throw line is a complete mystery. How can a guy have that nice a shot and be under 50% of free throws? But we'll get to that later. But quietly, he plays really good defense. Sometimes a number sticks out. I'm not a great believer in plus minus. I know, would you play all 40 minutes, you lose the game by 2, you're a -2. See what I mean?
Absolutely.
Dom Stewart last night was plus 24 in the game. Penn State was 24 points better than Campbell when he was in the game last night. Like, jeez. That is, that's an amazing number. No practice today. And then they get to work, and it's going to be Indiana, Darian DeVries, his son Tucker's a really good player. He's averaging 17.5 a game. They've changed over their personnel. Got a couple of guys that are banged up, like Josh Harris is out right now and so forth. But really, really good. And the conference is deep again. Remember how Iowa never played defense and they run up and down the floor? Nah, Ben McCollum's changed that. They're a completely different team. Now, last night, Michigan State took them apart, but that game was in East Lansing last night. So, and naturally and justifiably, the only thing fans around here are thinking about is who's going to be the next football coach here.
Sure.
I mean, we can talk about all these side things all we want, but it's all about that. And again, you're thoroughly frustrated.
No question. Yeah.
Right? Players and staff over at Lash, thoroughly frustrated. And let's face it, the people doing the negotiations thought they had it. Well, imagine how frustrated they are because they thought they had it. So now you got to overcome that and come up with somebody else. And it is not out of the realm, because it has happened many times before, where somebody who was not the first choice ends up being a really good choice. Okay?
Sure.
I mean, and it's happened many times where it's like, well, he was like the fourth or fifth choice. Yeah, we've all heard those stories. Like, okay, and it turned out to be the right choice. So let's just see. Let's just see. And what his options are right now, I'm not even going to begin to guess what the options are. But right now, there's been so much movement within 72 hours, right?
And those are the kind of things that will frustrate fans more. When you start to see movement like that, you start to say, why is our guy not doing this? That's absolutely and justifiable. That's going to be something that frustrates fans more, is when you see that kind of movement.
Well, again, I mean, part of it is the guy that was your head coach took another job because he could and did.
Yeah.
And you look at their recruiting class, those are all names so many names that are there were ones that at one point were committed to Penn State. There are now 10 staffers down there with them. I mean, so, right. But you could get a head start on it because at that point, you were a free agent.
Absolutely.
Right? The people that Pat's been talking to weren't free agents.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's why that November 30th part was so important. Okay? The regular season's now over. Now, after talk, pen to paper. The regular season's over, right? James could go to Virginia Tech because he was a free agent. He could sign with them anytime he wanted. He could have signed a week earlier. He could have signed 2 weeks later. But he could. Right? The people that Pat's been talking to aren't free agents. Right? And that is, when they really thought they had it.
Yeah.
And it's not because they made a bad guess. They really thought they had it because they were told by the subject involved they had it. What are you supposed to think?
Absolutely.
And I'm not blaming Kalani Sitake for staying at BYU.
No, loyalty is something that goes a long way with a lot of people.
I said this yesterday when people thought he was coming here. I said yesterday, I know this has to be a hard decision for him because I know personally how hard it would be for me to leave here because I've been here my entire life. Yeah, so I can relate to that. I may not be a coach.
Sure.
Right? But as I said yesterday, I've had other job offers. Right? As soon as I mentioned that, I'd like to take you with me, like
That's they get rid of it.
oh God, they pulled out. It was unbelievable. It's like, hello. I want to bring Jason Lord with me. Hello. I think there's a bad connection. I must be in a bad cell spot. All right, but I've said no to all the other stuff. The reason I said no to all of it because this place means so much to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I tried to explain that yesterday because I tried to do it from a personal point of view, only just to relate to it, right? Because it's the only point of view I could give where I could relate to it.
Absolutely.
Right? And in the end, unfortunately, what I said was true.
Yeah,
they came up with way more money, and what he needed was way more commitment because again, Penn State last year is 11-1. BYU this year is 11-1. Penn State last year is playing in a conference championship game. This year, BYU is playing in a conference championship game. Penn State 1 year ago, way in. Winning the game, first round bye, Rose Bowl. Not winning the game, home game college football playoff. BYU, exact same record 1 year later. Win the game, get into the college football playoff. Don't win the game, out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the name of the game. I mean, Oregon has the same record as BYU does. Oregon's way in, and they're hosting a game. They're a 5 seed.
100%.
Okay? The Big Ten was going to get 3 in. As of right now, 3 of them make up the top 5. It's the difference between the Big Ten and the Big 12.
Yeah.
It's the difference between the SEC
and
everybody else. So that's why he took a long, hard look at this in terms of his career. Well, he's got all sorts of assurances now and a contract to go with it, an extension to go with it. And this is where we are. I mean, it's still Penn State trying to find who that person's going to be. And we go on. We go on. And I've said this, I said it earlier in the show, and I mean it. Right? You may feel in the moment like they settled for somebody. You may feel that way. But let the results speak for themselves, because there have been many times where not the first choice, and sometimes not the second choice, but the third choice, turned out to be pretty darn good because it turned out to be the right fit. Not every time.
Right.
But don't discount the fact. I mean, I could name names right away that were not the first choice, and it turned out to be, okay, not bad. Pretty good. Pretty good. So, so now we have to wait and see. Your season's over, right?
You bet. It is. Yeah, and that's where...
I think I saw the video of you pumping your fist when the game was over. I was like, that made no sense to me.
Well, it's... there will be a new president in the PIAA, and we will see if that debate to Catholic and public comes up again, especially that we have 2 Catholic schools playing for the 6A championship now this year.
Well, as you know how many times I've said this, there should be 4 classifications, A, double, triple, quad.
Yep.
5A should be for charter schools. 6A should be for non-public
schools. Yep. Yeah,
that's. I mean, bigger non-public schools. In other words, I think they need to be split up that way instead of Right.
Because I don't think playing up a class is enough for a lot of these teams. And a lot of them, to their credit, do. Bishop McDevitt certainly does. I think you're going to see Bishop Guilfoyle at some point soon here do it. Southern Columbia does it. Well, Southern Columbia is more public, but still, they dominated their. But it's still, there's so many where it reaches the point where these teams just become far superior in a lot of ways, and something has to be done about it. That's,
right.
To me, and then that's, without question, to level the playing field.
All right. Well, I had a great time talking to you today. No. I'd love to take your job. No, I would. No. But I'd like to bring my sidekick, Jason Lord. Hello? Hello?
I think they literally have signs here. Do not bring this man anywhere. That's
like
so uncalled for.
You got to give me credit. I tried.